Some jobs are dirty because they involve mud and grime. Others are dirty because they force you to confront the messy parts of life. The job of survival is one of those. For a young kid named Michael Gerard Tyson growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, survival was the only job he ever knew. This wasn't a place for the faint of heart. It was a tough neighborhood, a concrete jungle where the weak were chewed up and spit out. Young Mike was a quiet, overweight kid with a lisp, which made him, well, an easy target. He learned early on that you either become the predator or you stay the prey, so he started fighting. It wasn't for sport, not yet. It was for respect. It was to keep what was his. His early life was a revolving door of trouble. Petty theft, street fights, run-ins with the law. He was on a fast track to nowhere, another statistic waiting to happen. By the time he was a young teenager, he had been arrested dozens of times. He ended up at the Tryon School for Boys, a juvenile detention center in upstate New York. It could have been the end of the line for him. For many kids it is. But sometimes in the dirtiest of places you find something that can wash you clean. For Mike Tyson, that something was a man named Bobby Stewart, a counselor and a former boxer. He saw the raw, untamed anger in the boy and decided to channel it. Stewart introduced Tyson to the sweet science, footwork, the jab, discipline. It was, a new kind of job for Mike, one that required more than just brute force, it required focus. Stewart saw a flicker of something special, a level of power and dedication he hadn't seen before. He knew he had taken the kid as far as he could, so he made a phone call to a legendary trainer, a man who forged champions out of raw, unrefined material. He called Cus D'Amato. This was the moment that would change everything, the pivot point from a life of crime to a life in the ring. A new, much harder job was about to begin. Cus D'Amato was an old-school boxing purist. He didn't just train fighters, he built them from the ground up, mind, body and soul. He saw past the troubled kid from Brooklyn and recognized the makings of a warrior. Cus took Mike in, becoming a legal guardian and a father figure. He moved him into his home in Catskill, New York, away from the streets that had nearly swallowed him whole. Under Cus's watchful eye, Tyson's life was given structure for the first time. Training, schoolwork, chores. It was a rigorous routine of training, schoolwork, and chores. It was a dirty job, breaking down the boy and rebuilding him into a fighter, but Cus knew it was the only way to save him. The work began in earnest. Every day was a grind. Road work before the sun came up. Hours in the gym, hitting the heavy bag until his knuckles bled. Sparring sessions that were more like wars. Cus D'Amato wasn't just teaching Tyson how to box, he was programming him for destruction. He drilled a unique style into him. The peekaboo defense. Hands held high in front of the face. A style built for an aggressive, shorter heavyweight. It let Tyson slip under his opponent's punches, get inside, unleash his devastating power. Tyson turned professional in 1985. The boxing world had never seen anything like it. He was a force of nature, a whirlwind of fists and fury. His first year as a pro was a blur of knockouts. He fought 15 times. He won all 15 bouts by knockout. Most of his opponents didn't even make it out of the first round. An aura of sheer terror surrounded him. When the bell rang, he charged across the ring like a bull. No wasted motion, pure, focused aggression. He wasn't just winning, he was dismantling people. It was a dirty job, but someone had to do it. And Mike Tyson seemed born for the task. The goal was always the heavyweight championship of the world. Cus D'Amato had promised he'd be the youngest heavyweight champion. Tragically, Cus passed away in 1985, just before Tyson reached his peak. He never got to see his protege fulfill the prophecy, but his voice and teachings echoed in Tyson's head with every punch. The mission continued. On November 22, 1986, at just 20 years old, Tyson stepped into the ring to face Trevor Berbick for the WBC heavyweight title. He was a man on a mission carrying his mentor's dream. The fight was a formality, a coronation. Berbick was a seasoned champion but completely overwhelmed. Tyson was too fast, too powerful, too relentless. In the second round, a brutal combination sent Berbick stumbling across the ring. He fell and tried to get up 3 times before the ref stopped the fight. Just like that, it was over. Mike Tyson, the kid from Brownsville, was heavyweight champion of the world. He had fulfilled Cus's prophecy. He had done the job. But the cleanup that follows a dirty job can be messier than the work itself. Becoming champion wasn't the end of the job, it was just the beginning of a new one. The task now was to unify the titles, to leave no doubt about who was the baddest man on the planet. And for a while, that's exactly what he did. In 1987, He defeated James Bone Crusher Smith to win the WBA title. Then, Tony Tucker to claim the IBF title. Within a year, he held all 3 major heavyweight championships. He was the undisputed king. He was more than a boxer, he was a cultural phenomenon. His fights were must-see events, often ending in blink-and-you-miss-it knockouts. His fighting style was something to behold, pure, primal ferocity, refined by Customato's genius. But Customato's machine began to show cracks. With Cus gone, the voices in his ear changed. The discipline that was his foundation started to erode. The quiet kid who found salvation in the gym was replaced by a global superstar surrounded by chaos. Then came February 11, 1990, Tokyo. It was supposed to be an easy payday, a tune-up against James Buster Douglas. A 42-1 long shot, 10th round. The world stood still. Douglas unleashed a blistering combination. Tyson crashed to the canvas. The first time in his career, Tyson on the canvas fumbling for his mouthpiece, trying to beat the count, unable to get to his feet. The reign was over. The fall was as swift and brutal as the rise. At 25, the undisputed champion was a convicted felon. Tyson served 3 years, released on parole in 1995. Since retirement, Tyson embarked on another comeback. In life. He's a father, he's a husband, a man who seems to have finally found a measure of peace. The job of getting back up is always there. It's never easy, it's always dirty, but it's a job worth doing.